In a world where technology, lifestyle, and health intersect like never before, the way we think about insurance is also undergoing a transformation. So, health insurance, traditionally viewed as a safety net, is now becoming a dynamic, personalized tool that adapts to the complexities of our modern lives. So, with rising awareness around mental wellness, a shift towards preventive care, and the growing impact of technology on healthcare, the policies of today must not only keep pace, but also anticipate the needs of tomorrow. So, in this episode of the Policy Project, we're exploring how the landscape of health insurance in the UAE is evolving to meet the demands of a rapidly changing world. From the rise of telemedicine to the increased focus on mental health, we'll dive deep into the inclusions that are reshaping the future of health coverage. Welcome to another episode of the Policy Project. I'm Sid, your go to guy for all things insurance, and today we're talking about modern health insurance inclusions in the UAE. And like always, we're not alone. We have an expert with us, Toshita Chauhan, the business head of health insurance for Policybazaar.ae, who's here to not just throw some light, but in fact illuminate entirely our topic for today. Welcome, Toshita. Welcome to the Policy Project. As always, thrilled to have you here.
Thank you, Sid.
Okay, so let's start off with सबसे basic question. As always, what, as per you, have been the key changes in health insurance policies here in the UAE over the past few years?
So I would like to say, firstly, in terms of inclusion, as to the mandatory health insurance coverage. Earlier, Abu Dhabi was the emirate where it was mandatory. Then Dubai followed, and now since the start of January 2025, we have Northern Emirates and Emirates like Sharjah, where the employers, it's mandatory for the employers to ensure the employees have they're medically insured.
Correct.
Also for domestic workers, they're also covered. They also
Hmm.
have a mandatory health insurance coverage.
True.
This is on the coverage front. Then we've seen like few other things that have kind of changed or evolved over the few recent years. One is in terms of the digital health integration. So we have more policies, more plans which include the telemedicine, and because of
Hmm.
that, the cost of those plans is we're able to get it down. For certain, the first responding kind of a thing is instead of going to a hospital or to a clinic, you have access to telemedicine, which reduces the cost for the insurers and of course reducing the cost for eventually the customers who are paying for it. Then we've seen preventive healthcare services being included as part of the health insurance policy. So whether that is including mental health coverage or coverage of alternative treatments like homeopathy, chiropractor, acupuncture, etc. So I would say now as holistic, it's become it's the coverage is more enhanced.
Hmm.
Everyone has access to it, and of course entire UAE across all emirates is mandatory. The employers are kind of put it's a requirement for the employers to ensure that all employees are covered under this plan.
Fantastic. Okay, so do you feel that health insurance is not just a formality for visa process now, but it's now becoming a tool for financial planning as well?
Absolutely. So, see, we've seen the rise of health facility cost, right? Not just insurance. If we go to a doctor, what money we used to, spend 5 years
Hmm.
back versus what it is now, even the cost of basic medicines. We've seen that
Right.
medical inflation happening. So I would say, and we don't know when we're younger, obviously, things are fine and we cannot anticipate what sort of diseases or conditions, will we have in the future. We're seeing a
Correct.
rise in critical illnesses where people without any history of any critical illness in the family are now getting those diseases. So we cannot anticipate that. And generally, like
Right.
if we talk about, a middle class person who is living, let's say, salary to salary, month to month, has a family of 3 to 4 people, has kids, where they have to pay for their education, save up for their future, they have rents to pay or a mortgage to pay. Health
Right.
insurance is something that you don't want, medical cost rather is something that you don't want to be kind of taken up from your savings if god forbid there are certain unforeseen circumstances. So I would definitely say it protects you against
Very
unexpected
true.
medical costs. it reduces kind of long-term expenses, right? So you've paid for your medical health insurance.
Hmm.
If you have bought it at a younger age where you're much
Right.
healthier, the cost is lower, and then you are kind of, you can really chill
Hmm.
for the rest of the year, because if someone, yourself or someone in your family, were to have some condition, or you require to be hospitalized, that kind of expense is already covered. So absolutely. And then there are obviously plans which you can buy at a younger age, which would help you at the time of your retirement. So you
Hmm.
get into an earlier plan, kind of fixing your cost, whether that's a critical illness plan, for example, in health insurance, which you look at for the future, or a regular health insurance plan, which is a 12-month policy, which covers you for your
Right.
current expenses. So I would say absolutely, it is one of your key parameters to block in for yourself and your family, where you can kind of be at peace of,
Hmm.
have that peace of mind that, I paid for my health insurance, and this kind of expense, if it were to happen in my life, I'm covered for it.
Very interesting. By the way, you touched upon this a little while back, but can you elaborate? Okay, how does today's health insurance match up with our modern lifestyle?
Right. So, I mean, our modern lifestyle is very fast paced, and we obviously have a lot of digital touch points in our life, right? From the time we wake up in the morning, today our alarm clock is also our phone. The first thing that we do is look at our
True.
phone, look at messages, probably social media, emails, or WhatsApps. And I think if we have to take that touch point, everything is, digitally integrated, whether it is from booking an appointment,
Hmm.
or consulting a specialist, consulting a doctor, getting that first hand treatment without actually walking into a clinic or a hospital. So I would say convenience and accessibility, that is kind of digitally being stitched up in the health insurance policies. Then you have
Right.
one very significant and very important thing that we all kind of need, is the
Hmm.
mental health and wellness support, right? Which is not something, an indication that we don't see it as an obvious disease. Like, it will not be like,
Right.
oh, we have a bruise, or we have a sprain or something that requires attention, but it is there.
Hmm.
And with a fast-paced lifestyle, so there are health insurance policies which support that and cover that. And then, because all of us have different needs, like I may
Hmm.
require a certain benefit in the policy, you may require a completely different benefit basis, your requirement or your current lifestyle, or your any
Right.
pre-existing conditions we may have. And so we have, today in the UAE, health insurance plans are more customizable. So you can get from a basic coverage plan to a
Right.
semi-comprehensive to a superior, fully enhanced plan, which, the international coverage, local coverage, everything included. So I think that gives
Right.
you flexibility on how much you want to spend and what kind of coverage you need.
Okay. So, talking about customization, have maternity and fertility treatments been addressed in the modern health insurance policies in the UAE?
Right. So in the UAE, any health insurance policy, particularly if
Hmm.
I look at Abu Dhabi and Dubai Emirate, for any married female, maternity or the kind of pregnancy coverage is mandatory. There are
Right.
basic inclusions in that, in terms of there is a limit to that which has to be included
Hmm.
in the basic plan. That's a mandatory requirement. Um, so your regular, checkups and your delivery will be included. There are sublimits when it comes to if you have a normal delivery or if you were to have a C-section. That varies.
Hmm.
Now, when it comes to fertility treatments, we have seen an increasing demand for that kind of an inclusion, or customers asking us for it. It is
Right.
not covered under the basic plans. It is not a mandatory coverage, unless obviously it is a
Okay.
medical emergency, right? um,
Hmm.
but we have enhanced plans which cover IVF treatments or certain fertility treatments required. They obviously sit at a much higher end of the scale in terms of premiums and costs of the plan.
Right. Okay. Now, let's talk about, we're all desis out here, and UAE is known for its cuisines from all across the world. And the next question, obviously, the dental treatments, the dietitians, and other wellness benefits, are all of those, you know, provisions are provided under the new health insurance policies from Policybazaar.ae, or there's something more to it?
Recently this year, Dubai and DHA made it mandatory that in all the policies, a basic dental
Hmm.
treatment cover of 500 dirham has to be provided, which earlier used to be zero in the basic policies, right? And again, dental is something that it is the basic requirement. That has a certain co-payment of about 30%, which you have to kind of pay. So if for example, if the cost is 100 dirhams, 30 dirhams you have to pay out of pocket, and 70 dirhams is paid by the insurance company. This is in the basic plans. This is an
Correct.
absolute minimum coverage that will be there. And then as in how you kind of the plans progress and they become more and more comprehensive, the level can increase and the premiums go up accordingly. So that is available. There is also an availability and a kind of a provision for dietitian consultations for managing chronic conditions, like people may have diabetes, high blood pressure, etc. So if that is a medical requirement for you to kind of, your doctor suggests, and it is medically required for you to consult a dietitian and be on a certain plan, there are supplements in
Right.
certain plans which is covered.
Okay. And if we go by what we've seen in the past couple of years, so from 2020, mental health is in the forefront, right? So, how are health insurance policies addressing mental wellness and therapy coverage?
So again, mental health and therapy coverage since January this year, the insurance companies have put in, the government rather, the regulator has
Hmm.
mandated to have an inclusion of about 1,500 dirhams for alternative treatments. Now, depending on what your doctor advises, for example, alternative treatment could be chiropractor, or it could be homeopathy, or it could be some ayurvedic treatment if required, or it could again be your your mental health treatment. But again, this is something which should not be misused. It has to be in consultation or by recommendation of the doctor that you are consulting, and has to
Right.
treat the particular condition that you have. And it doesn't again apply to any pre-existing condition that you may already have had. For example, I bought a policy on 1st of April, and before that I was already having certain issues. I already had certain medical conditions which were not disclosed, so these will not be covered for that. So you have to be mindful when you're buying a health insurance policy as to what are you declaring. You have to completely truly declare your health condition as is today. And basis that, there are provisions for inclusions of mental wellness and therapy coverage.
Okay. You also touched upon Ayurveda and alternative medicine, which obviously is a growing phenomena in the field of health. Some understand it, some don't understand it, some bash it, some
Right.
find it unscientific, others vouch for it. But in terms of the coverage, which all alternate medication treatments are covered under the new health policies?
So, few of the treatments that I can name would be, let's say, Ayurveda, homeopathy,
Hmm.
chiropractic, acupuncture, osteopathy. Some ones which I can exclude are, let's say, just going to a spa and getting a massage and trying to claim that
Right.
under insurance. So that would not be, for example, applicable. But as I mentioned earlier, that if it is a medical requirement to treat the condition that you have, and if that is a recommendation from a treatment doctor, the insurance company evaluates the request and they have a provision under the health insurance policy of a certain amount that yes, it can be treated if you want to take alternate treatments. So, like I mentioned, Ayurveda, homeopathy, osteopathy, acupuncture, these are the options available.
Right.
There are also the traditional therapies, let's say hijama, which is very common and prevalent in the UAE. So that could also be covered.
How about maternity and fertility treatments? Have those been addressed in the modern health insurance policies?
Right. So maternity coverage is a standard coverage, which is as part of the inclusion in all health insurance policies in the UAE. So if I talk about Dubai or Abu Dhabi Emirate, you have a minimum requirement of for if for example if a married female is buying a health insurance policy, a basic inclusion of a certain amount has to be covered, whether that's 10,000 dirham or 15,000 dirhams for a normal delivery or a C-section, that is primarily covered. Now, if we talk about fertility treatments, which again is an increasing demand that we see here in the UAE, fertility
Right.
treatments, um, if something becomes a medical emergency, yes, that will be covered. Your IVF treatments or certain medications which are required, which are not part of any medical treatment or any emergency that you have, if it's just a standard requirement that your doctor suggests that why don't you go on these medicines and it'll help you, let's say for a female, ovulate during a period cycle, that may not be covered. And if you look at the larger treatments like IVF, etc., there are more comprehensive plans which cover those. The basic plans don't cover those. Typically, an
Hmm.
IVF treatment cost in the UAE, if you have to talk about it, costs anywhere from, from the smallest clinic to the largest clinic that you can go to for, IVF treatment could be from anywhere from, 20 to 25,000 dirhams per cycle to about 60 to 70,000 dirhams per cycle. So that is, it's not feasible for the entire treatment to be covered in the medical insurance policy. But yes, there are certain comprehensive plans which cater to that. The premiums for those plans again are in line with what are the kind of claims that you will make. So aisa nahi ho sakta that your policy is 5,000 dirhams and you're trying to make a claim for a fertility treatment of 50,000 dirhams. So there are certain plans which exist, but they would be on a higher end when it comes to the premium and coverage.
Understood. Very insightful segment indeed. And thank you so much, Toshita. Abhi, time to move on to our next segment, which is Ask Away. So here we take up FAQs by our customers and we respond to them with the help of our experts. Now, if you too are inquisitive, if you too are a curious learner like myself, and you've got questions about finance, about insurance, then don't hesitate. Just ask away. Slide into our DMs on Instagram, follow us on Policy Bazaar UAE, or reach out to us via any of the other social media channels, and we will try our best to answer your questions in the next episode. Today, however, we shall be taking up questions related to modern health insurance inclusions out here, UAE ke andar. And we've received these in our inbox. So, Toshita, ready with the answers?
Yes.
फैंटास्टिक है जी सो आस्क अवेज फरहान का सबसे पहला क्वेश्चन है ही वांट्स टू नो कि what impact has the rise of digital health tools for example fitness trackers या health apps जो होती हैं have those had on health insurance offerings in the UAE.
Right. See, health insurance, the concept is very simple, right? If you're a healthy life and if you've not made too many claims, the insurer kind of, rewards you by not increasing your premium or keeping your premium the same. At
Okay.
Policybazaar.ae, what we try and do is for a healthy life, which we basically say if in the last 12 months you have not made any inpatient claim. Inpatient claim is basically where you've not been admitted overnight in a hospital, right?
Right.
Outpatient claims, we feel, you typically end up making once or twice a year, whether it's for seasonal allergies or flu, and that's kind of unavoidable. But if you've not really made any inpatient claim in the last 12 months, we would give you a no claim bonus. What that no claim bonus does is it increases your sum insured. So if your sum insured was, let's say, 1 million dirhams last year, we increase it by 10%. So this year, your sum insured becomes 101.1 million, right? So and
Got
every
it.
year this kind of adds up. So that's our way of rewarding. This is a plan which is only available on Policybazaar.ae. If I have to talk about the question that you asked about the digital tools and trackers, that is mostly prevalent at the group health insurance level, where the HR is kind of able to drive that kind of take up, whether the employees are using certain tools to track their steps or monitor certain kind of fitness activities through the week, etc. And yes,
Right.
basis that there are certain discounts and there are certain benefits that the insurance company can offer for being more healthy and claiming less. So eventually everything is an kind of results into how much have you claimed on your health insurance, which the insurance company has to
Hmm.
then make a provision for.
All right, Farhan. We hope you got your answer. And the next one is Maqsood ka question. He wants to know what are the provisions related to vision and hearing aid in the new health insurance policies.
In the UAE health insurance policies, in the comprehensive and more enhanced versions, hearing and vision aids are covered. They could have a certain sublimit and a higher co-payment that you'll have to pay more out of your pocket from your share to get that.
Hmm.
Generally, unless it is a medical emergency, in the basic plans it is not covered. So you will find this kind of coverage in more comprehensive plans. But if it is a medical emergency and you're required to have that in the basic plan, it will be covered.
Okay. Understood. All right, ji. Neelam has the third question, and she wants to know, okay, how do modern health insurance policies UAE के अंदर cater to the needs of people with already existing chronic conditions or long-term health issues, especially as lifestyle-related diseases, they're on the rise, as we can see.
So if we talk about people who currently have a pre-existing condition and want to buy health insurance, there are two ways to go about it. One absolute thing is that you have to correctly declare your existing medical health condition in the truest way possible if you want your claims to be processed in the most hassle-free manner, right? Second is there are certain waiting periods which are applicable. However,
Hmm.
UAE has a provision that if you declare your medical condition to the insurance company, the insurance company is able to price you a premium which gives you day one coverage for your pre-existing condition, which in a lot of countries doesn't exist. Even in some countries, for example, you may pay a loading on your premium or an additional
Hmm.
amount saying that, let's say somebody has diabetes or somebody has hypertension, you may pay loadings, but they will still apply a waiting period additionally, saying for the next 6 months you cannot claim. After 6 months, we will start to cover these conditions. But here in the UAE, they have a provision where you can pay the amount, pay the loaded premiums, and get
Hmm.
coverage from day one. So that kind of sets the tone of whatever pre-existing conditions you may have. Now there could be cases, for example, sometimes you don't know you have a certain pre-existing condition. So sometimes insurance companies may also, above a certain age, if you fall under that bracket, let's say above the age of 60, etc.,
Hmm.
you may think that I don't have any pre-existing condition, I'm fit and fine, this is what customers tell us, and I'm not on any medication. However, you may still be required to present a fitness certificate, which is a basic examination by a doctor where they check your certain parameters and declare that yes, as of today they don't have any condition. So I would say, like, one is your truest form of declaration, whatever you can give for your health
Correct.
condition, and B is the flexibility that you can get coverage from day one.
Very interesting. Very, very cool. Okay. Last question is coming in from Akash, and he wants to know, okay, as the UAE is attracting a diverse international population, how are insurance policies evolving to cater to different health needs of expatriates versus the nationals, the UAE nationals?
So, UAE nationals are entitled to free government provided healthcare. For the expatriate population, there is a regulation in the UAE that the employers, it is mandatory for the employers to provide health insurance for the employees. And if the employees then further have dependents on their visa, could be their kids or their spouses, etc., then they have to ensure that they make a provision for their health insurance. At the time, generally, when you are applying for your visa or renewing your visa, you're required to
Hmm.
present the health insurance certificate. To make it more affordable, there are certain basic plans in place where the premiums are lower, the coverage is limited, but you can buy that, and those are pretty affordable. And then basis your needs, the comprehensive plans can then further be explored as to there's no limit of how much you can spend and the coverage that you can get.
All right. Akash, we hope you got your answer. And uske saath mein, it's the end of this segment. But don't go just yet. If you have any questions about finance, about insurance, then simply ask away. DM us on Instagram, follow Policy Bazaar UAE, or reach out to us via any of the other social media channels, and we'll try our best to answer your questions in our next episode. For now, though, I hope we're all set with our knowledge regarding modern health insurance inclusions out here in the UAE. We'll meet again in the next episode with more informative, more insightful content along with our lovely experts. Thank you so much, Toshita. A pleasure, as always, having you on the podcast.
Thank you, Say.
That's it for today's episode, everyone. See you in the next one. Till then, take care and stay tuned.